For decades, we've kind of been sold this idea that IQ is the ultimate measure of potential, the golden ticket. But what if the single greatest predictor of success isn't actually how smart you are, but how smart you are with your emotions? Well, let's dive into that.
So, right off the bat, you've got these two totally different ways of looking at success. On one side, there's IQ, your raw intellectual horsepower. And the science on this is pretty clear. It's more or less set in stone by the time you hit your mid 20s. But then on the other side, you've got EQ, emotional intelligence. And here's the absolute game changer it's a flexible skill. It is something you can actually work on and get better at for your entire life.
I think the best way to wrap your head around this is to think of EQ as your personal human operating system. Your IQ might be the processor speed, how fast your brain works, but your EQ, well, that's the software that runs the whole show. It manages all your inputs and outputs and really determines how effectively you perform. So, what's the core job of this operating system? It's not about ignoring your feelings or pretending they don't exist. Not at all. It's about using them intelligently. It really just boils down to your ability to recognize, understand, and then manage emotions, first inside yourself and then in the people you interact with. Okay, so how do we actually upgrade this system? Luckily for us, there's a blueprint. Emotional intelligence is really built on four core skills that all work together, and we're going to walk through them one by one.
And what's really cool is how logically this is all structured. These four skills are split into two main areas. First up is personal competence, which is all about you, self-awareness and self-management. Then you take that and apply it to the world around you with social competence, social awareness and relationship management. See? You really got to master yourself before you can effectively manage your relationships with other people. It just makes sense. Everything, and I mean everything, starts right here with self-awareness. This is the bedrock. It's your ability to see yourself clearly, to know what you're feeling as it's happening, and maybe even more importantly, to understand your own tendencies. What pushes your buttons? Without this, you're pretty much just reacting to life on autopilot. So, how do you actually build this skill? Well, the trick is to do the complete opposite of what most of us naturally do. Instead of trying to ignore a bad feeling or shove it away, you lean into it. Get curious. Ask yourself, okay, where is this feeling coming from? What's the trigger? Was it the way your boss wrote that email? Is it the stress from a big deadline? Just putting a name to the feeling is a huge first step. And that awareness, that's the key that unlocks the next skill, self-management. See, once you're aware of an emotion, self-management is all about what you do next. It's the ability to use that awareness to make a conscious choice, to pause instead of just reacting, and to guide your behavior in a positive direction. It's really the difference between lashing out in an email and just taking a deep breath. A classic but incredibly powerful strategy here is just to sleep on it. When you get emotionally hijacked, the primitive reactive part of your brain kind of takes over. By giving yourself some space, whether it's a couple of hours or a full night's sleep, you let the rational, logical part of your brain, your prefrontal cortex, come back online and make a much better call. All right, once you've got a decent handle on your own internal world, you can start turning your focus outward. And that brings us to social awareness. This is the skill of being able to accurately read the room, to read the emotional landscape around you. And this is way less about what people are saying and much more about what they're not saying. It's in their tone of voice, their body language, their facial expressions. Here's a great little exercise you can try in your next conversation. Stop planning what you're going to say next. Just stop. Instead, put 100% of your focus on just observing the other person. You will be absolutely amazed at how much information you've been missing all this time. This brings us to our fourth and final skill, and it's definitely the most complex: relationship management. This is where you bring it all together. You use your awareness of your own emotions, your ability to manage those emotions, and your awareness of other people's emotions to successfully navigate interactions, build strong bonds, and handle conflict like a pro. A killer strategy here is all about transparency. Whenever you have to make a decision that's going to affect other people, don't just drop it on them. Explain the why behind it. Taking the time to do this one thing builds an incredible amount of trust. It lowers anxiety, and it just makes people feel respected and included, even if they don't totally love the decision itself. So we've got the how-to, but I'm sure you're thinking, okay, but does this really matter more than just being smart? Well, let's take a look at the data. This is where things get really, really interesting. Okay, check this out.
People with the highest IQs only outperform folks with average IQs about 20% of the time. Now, that's an edge for sure, but it's not a huge one. But now look at the second bar. People with high EQs outperform people with high IQs a staggering 70% of the time. That is not a small difference. That is a massive performance gap. EQ is the real differentiator.
So, what this all leads to is this really fundamental shift in how we should be thinking about our feelings. They aren't a weakness, they're not a distraction, they are a constant stream of incredibly valuable information. They're data. You know, EQ isn't just a synonym for being nice or soft. It's about being effective. It's about having the ability to take that emotional data, process it, and actually use it to make smarter, better decisions, instead of just letting your emotions pull you around like a leash. So I'll just leave you with this one question to think about. In your life, at work, in your relationships, are your emotions a leash that yanks you from one reaction to the next? Or are you using them as data to consciously choose your path forward? Because the choice, really, is yours.